you. Thank you. I had my microphone muted. Thank you, Maham. This lady that I have in the call today, she's one Salesforce developer, architect, admin. I think you have all the roles, right, Maham?
Yes. Hi, everyone. Pleasure having everyone.
And I'm so glad to have her here today because I got the opportunity to present a session with Maham at Dreamforce this year. I invited her to co present with me because she built an amazing demo for a campaign that we ran called Build with Einstein. Now we are running a similar campaign called Build with Agentforce, in which you had to build something with an agent, right, and show it to us, like send a video, a recording. And Maham, I think you also recorded a video for this campaign, right?
Yes, I did.
And it was a great one. I watched it, and because of that, I decided to invite her to co-present with me, and we prepared a session together on prompt templates and the models API. And that is why we are here today. By the way, I didn't say my name. My name is Alba Rivas. I am a developer advocate at Salesforce, and today we are going to try to cover the topics that we showcased in our Dreamforce session, but we have took them a little bit to add some Agentforce flavor in them because Agentforce is becoming so important in the ecosystem, and we wanted to really show you how all these technologies can be used to extend your agents. Okay. And with that, I want to start by saying hello to everyone who's connected in the chat. We have Kashif, Tech Lead Consulting, Iki, Vikas, some students, some people joining from India, from the UK, and also on LinkedIn, we have a ton of people, Misbah, Abbas, Haseb, Bargaf, Conrad Montreal, Pratham. Well, lot of people. Thank you so much for joining and for being here with us today. We hope that you enjoy this presentation. And if I'm not missing anything, I think we can start. Maham, do you want to say anything else before starting the presentation?
All good. Pleasure. Just stay tight. There is a lot coming in.
Okay, fantastic. So I'm going to start by sharing my screen and sharing our amazing forward-looking statement, which just means that you should make purchasing decisions based on the features that are GA. But I think that everything that we are covering today is GA, so we are pretty safe here. And well, again, Alba is my name. I'm here with Maham, who is a technical architect, but also a developer for a long time. And she's written like a lot of Agentforce code already. And she's going to um, share with us a lot of insights from the customer perspective, right? Because I work for Salesforce, but she's a customer, and I always like combining this kind of presenters because there are a lot of synergies and good stuff coming out from those presentations. So first, I wanted to summarize what we covered in our Dreamforce sessions because if you want to expand more on prompt templates and the models API, it's a good agenda to follow. Okay, this says agenda, but it's really the agenda that we had in our Dreamforce session. And I'm going to tell you I'm going to tell you which are the two use cases in which we are going to focus today and that we are going to use within Agentforce. Okay, so in our Dreamforce sessions, we covered how to generate text using prompt templates, and then we covered all the use cases for the models API, which are generate text, custom chat, submit feedback, and generate embeddings. These use cases, most of them are covered in another codeLive that my colleague Charles did a couple of weeks ago. And I can show you a QR code. There it is, that points to that codeLive in case that you want to go deeper in the models API. Okay. Today we are going to focus in these two. We are going to create an agent action that invokes a prompt template to do something. And we're going to create another agent action that invokes Apex to use the models API. Okay, we are going to focus in these two, but the models API has like many more things that you can take a look at. And what's the models API, right? Because many people in the call may not know what it is. So models API is basically like an API through which you can invoke your models through the Einstein Trust layer. This is in Salesforce. You can invoke large language models that are offered as a service, right? When you open Prompt Builder, for instance, with the basic setup, you have several models available, which are the models that we offer as a service because we have agreements with their providers, and you can connect your custom models. And every time that you are using those models from any Salesforce functionality, all the requests and responses are going through the Einstein Trust layer, which is a layer that adds security in and that allows you to incorporate and ground data from the different Salesforce clouds, including Data Cloud. And then that's like a lot of things behind the scenes to help you run AI-based workflows on the platform, right? So there are two ways in which admins and developers and architects create like custom apps or workflows that invoke LLMs through the trust layer. And those ways are like using prompt templates in Prompt Builder. You create a prompt template that's more low code, or using the models API, which is an API that you can use in Apex, but also externally. Okay. So we're going to understand this much better with a demo. And for today's demo, we are going to use a use case that really Maham created, because she is the organizer, the main organizer for Dubai Dreaming, and she loves community conferences, right, Maham?
100%.
Do you
You
want
heard
to
her right.
tell the audience a little bit about the use case? About
Yes, 100%. All right. So in this use case, basically, we just showered our love for community conferences and our exciting and amazing Trailblazer community. This use case actually revolves around for the conference organizers, if they are managing everything within the Salesforce instance, how we did everything, like we managed the whole event in Salesforce. We are basically using the agents to create the newsletters for that particular conference. And not just that, we are using Agentforce to make sure that we tweak out our session descriptions and session abstracts and their titles, because sometimes the sessions are wonderful, they are outstanding, but maybe their titles and abstracts does not match with the amazing content that it might have for the rest of the description that the speakers have submitted. So in this use case, we'll just create some ease for the organizer of the community organizers, that they can not just create the newsletter with Agentforce and through the agent action with just a click, but they can also tweak out the session titles and the session abstract so that it's easy for them to decide that who are going to be the rock stars who are going to speak at their particular events.
fantastic. Thank you for explaining that. So we're going to start with the first use case for this conference application that we have created in Salesforce. And we're going to ask Agentforce to generate a newsletter for the conference Dubai Dreaming. Okay, so first we are going to show how we're going to show the result. Okay, let me reload the agent just in case something happened. So we are going to first show the result, and then we will take a look at how this is implemented. And let's wait a little bit, give it a few seconds to see what it does. And I hope it works this time. It was working 5 minutes ago. So if the demo gods are good with me today, it should work right now. Come on, agent. Respond something to me.
Agents acting VIP, always taking some time.
Yeah, yeah. There it is. Okay. So the agent is telling me here is the generated newsletter for Dubai Dreaming. How else can I assist you? And you can see that this is a newsletter in rich text that includes the logo of the conference and some titles and some like emoticons and some colors. It's also including the speakers and the sponsors. Well, a few things, right? That we instructed the agent to include. So how did we do this? And the way in which the way in which we implemented this was generating text with a prompt template, this first use case that we are seeing here. For instructing the agent what to do, you create topics, okay? And in those topics, you explain the instructions of what the agent can do and how to do it. So here I have an instruction in which we are telling the agent what to do when it is asked to create a newsletter for a conference, which is exactly what we did. So first, I'm telling the agent to not ask for conference IDs because obviously the user doesn't know the conference ID. And I'm giving some examples so that it can extract it from the messages that the user sends to the agent. Okay? And then I'm telling if you can't extract it, well, you can ask for it. Then I'm telling the agent to find the right conference ID because we are going to need that to retrieve all the information of the conference, its sessions, its speakers, its sponsors, etc. Right? Using an action called find conference ID. This is a really simple action built in Flow that I'm going to show you. And then we are asking the agent to call the generate newsletter action. And this is the action in which we are invoking a prompt template. Why? Because in that prompt template is where we are writing all the instructions for the large language model so that the model can generate this newsletter in rich text. And because it's a prompt template, it's created in Prompt Builder, and it's really easy to ground Salesforce data into the template so that the LLM can use it. So if we take a look at what the agent did was exactly what we described here. So first it selected the topic help manage conference, which is the one that includes the instruction to generate the newsletters and also fix the titles and abstracts, which is the second demo that Maham will do today. Then it's selecting the action find conference ID. The action, it's a really simple action. I didn't open Flow today, but we can open it from the action and take a look at it. It's just a Flow that contains a get records element, super easy. And then the action that is of more interest is the action that generates the newsletter calling the prompt template, which is this one here. We can open the action, and then this action, we see that it is a prompt template action. that it's invoking this prompt template that I have opened here. So what's interesting of the prompt template? A couple of things. First of all, we are telling the agent the instructions on how to generate the newsletter, and we are telling it to generate the newsletter in rich text format. Why? Because in the action definition, we can define, let me see if we can edit this. Oh, by the way, no, I'm taking a look at the wrong action. Is this one? That it is, okay. We can define that we want our output to be rendered as rich text, and that's going to help the agent show me the rich text here in its response, okay? So the prompt template is building rich or returning rich text, and in addition, we are configuring the action to show rich text in the agent output. Then, what second interesting thing we have here? We are including all the information of the conference with just one binding, I would say, which is a record snapshot data provider. Basically, my prompt template is related to a conference, and when you are building the prompt template, you can include the fields of the conference, its related list, but you can also include this, I would say, easy shortcut record snapshot, which is going to basically include all the information that you can see in the conference layout. Indeed, if we take a look at this here, if we test our, let me see, our prompt template to see what the what the prompt template is resolving before sending the resolution to the LLM, you are going to see all the information that's included in this record snapshot, which are basically like all the speakers of the conference, all the fields that you can see in the layout. It's everything that you can see in the layout, okay? The number of records that are included are the ones that you see in the layout as well, in the related list when it's visualized. So today, my internet connection maybe is not super strong and it's taking a while, but hopefully we will see the response soon. I'm telling other instructions to the LLM, such as use different styles to make the newsletter nicer, use different sizes and colors for titles, including emoticons. And I'm saying that it doesn't need to include information about the sessions, the surveys that are created for the conference or the owner. So I'm telling some instructions so that it can create that rich text. This got stuck, so let me refresh the page and try again, just in case, because I loaded everything before the stream, but you know, sometimes the sessions get stale and take a little bit. Well, meanwhile, these loads, we just finished the workflow by seeing that it was able to return this generated rich text in a component, right, that it's able to render rich text. That it is, okay, here we have it. This is all the information that the record snapshot data provider is going to include for me. And this is all the information that the LLM is using to return the created newsletter in rich text, which is what we are finally showing in the agent. Okay, but now we are going to do something else. Let's say that on top of creating this newsletter, I want to also create a custom object or record that stores this newsletter for each conference, right? Every time that a newsletter is generated, I want to store it in the database. There are two ways in which we could do that, okay? One way would be I create here an action, which is create newsletter record, and I give instructions to the agent to create that record. The agent, in that case, is going to execute those actions asynchronously. It's going to execute first the generate newsletter action, and second, the create newsletter record action. That may have some benefits, especially composition, right, and flexibility, because the agent could use the create newsletter action for something else. But at the same time, the operation wouldn't be atomic, right? And because I wanted to show you how prompt templates can also be invoked from Apex, I decided to, instead of doing that, I decided to create an action that is an Apex action, which is in my library, this one, generate newsletter Apex, this one here. And this action is going to call a class that does the two operations in a synchronous way, one after the other, okay? So this would be the invocable action that we will use in this case. And we need to do two things, right? First thing is invoke the prompt template. And second thing is create the record. So to invoke the prompt template, we can do it. Prompt templates can be invoked through the Connect API. And what we are doing here is we receive the conference ID from the agent. The agent is telling us the conference ID that was able to find with the flow. And then we create like the shape of the objects that the Connect API needs to be able to invoke my prompt template. And then we pass in the name of the prompt template that we want to invoke and the input parameters, which are going to basically include the conference ID that got passed in. Here we decided to create a class that has all the methods that we use to use the models API and to use the Connect API just for reusability, right? So that it can be reused everywhere else in our application. And this is the concrete method that we are using. It's a method that it's exposed in the Connect API and that allows you to generate messages from prompt templates. This is execute a prompt template to generate a message. So we are complicating the thing a little bit because we are not calling the prompt template directly. We are calling it from an Apex method. But why? Because we want to do something else later in a synchronous way. And this example is probably very naive. We probably could have done that with two different actions in the agent, but I wanted to show it to you because I wanted to demonstrate that you can invoke prompt templates from Apex code and that you can chain different steps that need to happen atomically, synchronously, by creating an Apex action that does like everything for you step by step. Our second step would be, okay, I've created the newsletter. I want to include this newsletter I'm going to create a record that is related to the conference and that includes this newsletter. And then I'm going to return the response. And I can reuse exactly the same prompt template that we used before. It's just a prompt template that returns rich text. So if I reload my agent and I execute this again, it should generate the newsletter, but also additionally create the newsletter record for me. Okay, something happened here. Okay, the prompt template could not be resolved. Let me refresh and try to do it again. And if not, we can investigate a little bit what happened. So the name of the prompt template that we are using, let me see. So the prompt template is called generate newsletter rich text plain. And then if we go to Apex, we have generate newsletter. Okay, this is probably rich text plain. Let me deploy this to the OR. And probably this is a mistake because Mahama and I have both been working on the same demo on the same org, and probably one of us had an issue maybe with the uh, push and retrieve of the metadata. Let me try again. And if it doesn't work, I'm going to let Maham demo the second use case, and I'm going to fix this meanwhile. Okay. There it is, our agent. We are going to, and let me make sure that the topic was added directly. Yes, we have the Apex topic. Let me see if it works now. And meanwhile, I'm going to take a look at the comments. So there are some comments on the chat. Can we add comments or questions along with? Nishant, I'm not sure what you mean with that. Can you expand your question a little bit? Because I'm not sure what you mean with that. And then in YouTube, we have a couple of questions as well. We have a question from Bihar. Alba, why do the same prompt template with the same data generates different outputs using the same model? Well, this is how generative AI works and the beauty of generative AI, right? Take into account that large language models are kind of creative, and that's the beauty of them. If not, we would be talking with a fixed software developed application. But large language models can create different things each time, and that's perfectly acceptable and normal. I keep saying AI is not deterministic, it's totally right. And then there is another question from Bihar. Alba, how can we show the custom suggestions on the welcome screen of the agent? I think you may be referring to this sentence here, which is the sentence that starts and that pops up when you open it. You can configure that. You can configure that. So if we go here to the agent has some configuration. And here in system messages is where you can edit that message, okay? I appreciate the fact that we saw an error and a way to fix it. I'm going to try to fix it now because I think I know what is happening. And then, Michael, can you please tell us what types can be returned from Apex in an agent action? I mean, if I want to return a record link, is there a way to do it in a way like it's done in a standard action? So in Apex, you can return anything that you want. So basically, you need to return a class. This is a class that you define, right? And in that class, you define all the parameters that you want to be returned. So here I just have one, okay, which is the parameter that includes the generated newsletter code. But you could have, I don't know, an integer parameter, number of lines, whatever. You can create return complex types. It's same as a regular invocable variable and invocable action. Okay, this is no different from regular invocable actions. And then what you need to do is in the definition of your action, when you create your actions, because you can create actions, there is a shortcut to create actions from here. So you can, for instance, select your invocable action. And then here you will need to give some information of all the invocable variables that you have as inputs and outputs. And you can select some configurations, such as, for instance, the checkbox that determines if the output is going to be shown in the conversation or not, if the input is required, etc. Okay. If you want to return a record link is also rich text, and you can ask the agent to return links as rich text and make them clickable, okay? And that is just done through an instruction in the agent. So Miguel says, if I return a subject, it will be handled somehow visually in the chat. I think so. I think so. Okay. So here you can return like an account or lead or whatever, and then you will you will have to define that that's an account. And I think that for standard objects will work, but I can try it out um, and tell you later. Somebody told me that you lose my camera. Let me see what happened. All kind of issues today. Maham laughs. Let me see if I can fix it.
Looks
It's
like the stream is missing Mohit, because now we can see Mohit's picture.
oh, that's amazing. I really appreciate Mohit. Hopefully, you can see me now. Oh, let's try. If not, I will switch on my Mac camera. Ta-da! Not working. So I'm gonna change my camera. It's an uglier camera, but it works better. Let me see. Okay, Maham, when don't you share your screen
All right.
and start with the second use case, and meanwhile, I try to fix my camera and fix the Apex action.
Sounds
Okay?
good. Let's do
So I
that.
will stop recording, and then we can see your screen now.
Sweet. Okay. So let's get our hands dirty by doing a hard refresh so that this demo at least goes by. Well, thank you very much again, everyone, for being here. We are going to basically cover the use case of tweaking out the session titles and the session abstracts. Okay, and for the sake of our sanity, we are only focusing on the sessions which are associated to the byte trimming. These are those two sessions, and what we want to do is that we want to ensure that this session title and this abstract of this sessions are being tweaked out if they have any grammatical mistakes, if LLMs can provide us with a better name and naming conventions, that we are going to apply those onto it. um, I'll first show you that how basically all of this should be looking like in the Agentforce, and how efficiently Agentforce is going to help us using the agent actions and topic configurations. But let's see if I give my agent this instruction, that please improve the titles and the abstracts for sessions happening at Dubai Dreaming. Um, let's see that against this prompt how our agent force is going to act, and then I'll show you that how I have configured the topic, how I have settled my actions, and how basically rest of the stuff are working. But it looks like something going wrong while trying to retrieve the sessions for the byte trimming, which is absolutely fine. Let's just do a refresh here. And we're gonna try one more time to see how this goes. Okay. Okay, this is sweet. So it's going to take my sessions one by one. What it's going to give me is basically providing me with the original title of the session, which is maximizing agent performance with flow optimization. It is going to give me with the original abstract that discovered the powerful combination of agent force and flow to enhance agent productivity and efficiency in your organization. And then Agentforce is going to suggest me with the new title and the new abstract based off of the prompt that I have given it using the models API. How this thing, all of this thing should be working, let me take you to the instructions first, and then we'll see that how basically this topic is being configured, which instructions I have given it, how these instructions are getting connected to the agent actions, which is connecting it to the models API to provide us with the response that we just see in this particular agent. Alrighty. So let's go ahead here. I'm going to take a look at this instruction. Let's go here one by one. Alrighty. So it's saying that when you are asked to improve a conference session's titles and abstracts, first of all, please don't present it with the conference ID or the session IDs. Try to extract the conference name from the user input, which will be something like improve sessions and abstracts for sessions happening at conference name. These are all agent actions. This is all being tied up to the models API, like Epics, which is giving it the proper name. It's going to identify that, all right, the by dreaming was the conference name. Which were the sessions which were happening at the by dreaming, that now it's going to tweak out or refine. Then, after finding the right conference ID using the find conference ID action, pass in the conference name. Don't show it in the conversation, just like it did it. Um, it's not asking that provide me with session ID. It's not asking, all right, what was the ID of the conference. Straight short, it just provide me all the sessions one by one. First, it has just provided me with session one of two, but once I will approve it, it will going to provide me with my second session, because this is where I have shown you that at this point of time I have only two sessions which are associated to the by Dreamin. Third thing, it's going to call the Qt records action to retrieve the name and session abstract field sessions, filtering by found conference ID. It's like we all can imagine, like this is very standard epics going on, queuing the record. Once the parent record is being found, it's going to retrieve all of its child records. In our case, we found the ID of the conference, and now we are going to find the IDs of the sessions which are associated to that particular conference ID. And then for each of the session found, call the improve session title and abstract action. This is an action which is actually calling the models API in our case. Then we are going to show the user the position of the session you're processing among the total number of the session. Example session one of three. This is exactly how Agent Force is ingesting the instruction that I have given it. It's digesting it using the models API, connecting it to the LLM, and giving me the right responses exactly in the order that I have asked it to do. Then once it will pass through everything, it will show the user that what was the original title of that session. It will show what was the original abstract. Then it's going to give me the new title returned by the same method, and then the new abstract returned by the method. For now, this improves session title and abstract, just consider it as a method which is running up at the backend, which is going to connect your application to the LLMs. In our case, it's Models API. Now, what's going to happen next, and why I opened this instruction was, at this point of time, you have seen every bit of it is being executed the way we have instructed it to do. We have instructed it not to give us any ID, not the ID of the conference, not the ID of the sessions, but straight short, a human recognizable names. If a normal human is being thrown with IDs, he would be like, all right, what's happening, what these numbers are talking about. But in our case, it's basically giving the responses which is more human centric and making everyone lives pretty easier, even for the devs. Okay. Now, at this point of time, our instruction 4.3 says if the user says yes, then we are going to update the session title and the abstract using again a method that I have written in the models API called as update session title and abstract action, and continue executing step 4.1 using the next action in the list, which means that for now we have session 1 of 2. It proposed us with a new title and a new title and a new abstract. Now, if I'm going to say yes, it's going to loop on the session starting from 4.1, that come up with the session ID, come up with the conference ID, give me the session IDs. One was done. What is the second? All right. So it will basically loop through the sessions of that particular conference ID one by one and going to give us response that, all right, are you happy with the suggestion for session one? You are? Yes. Okay. Let's go to the next. And another thing, that if until it find yes, it will keep on looping through the records. But if the user says no, continue with step 4.1, but using the same session again. In both cases, don't ask for double confirmation. Like, that means that if we say yes, then just move on to the other session. But if it says no, start from 4.1, find what was the session ID, what was the abstract which is being given, and then suggest it a new one. In our case, what I'm going to do here is that I'm going to tell my agent that yes, these values look good to me. Once I will say next, we have instructed our agent to basically give us the second session. And that's what exactly our agent did. All right. It says that original title was this and original abstract were this. And now it is improving the session and the abstract.
I'm so glad that we have you today, Maham, because the demo gods are with you.
All good. All righty. So there you go. At this point of time for session 2 of 2, agent was able to give us a new title and a new abstract. That's all. Alrighty. At this point of time, you guys have seen that it actually was able to tweak through our session IDs and our like session titles and our session abstracts based off of the session IDs that it received. And receiving the conference ID itself, it already knew that how many iterations this agent is going to iterate over, right? So this is basically the power of Agentforce, that how at the runtime, it's not only retrieving the records for you, it's going to update those records for you as well. Now let's go ahead here and see that how all of this actually works. Let's take a look at this session title. Alrighty, we are in the ensuring data security. Let's see. We'll see that what the new abstract has been proposed, learn essential security measures to safeguard your agent's access. Okay, it doesn't, looks like it didn't update it, but no problem. We'll be able to see it some other time. Let's say yes. Because yes is the one that is actually going to update all of it. All righty. Now it says that all the sessions have been updated correctly. All the sessions for the byte dreaming have been improved. How else I can assist you today? Let's go back and see if it really updated the abstract and the title. Alrighty, there you go. Learn essential security measures to safeguard your agent access to critical data. This was exactly the new suggested abstract. And now based off of that, this is a set of instruction. I and Alba were, when we were doing this discussion, this is one of the discussions that I would like to highlight, that when you are writing your agents and you're configuring your topics, it's great to basically sum up your instructions in the manner that I and Alba have done it here, so that the action knows that how it's going to take actions, how the agent actions have to be executed one by one, and how it made our life easier. We were telling it that, all right, if the user is happy with the session updates, then all right, we are good. But if it's no, then loop over the action number 4.1 and then just dig it through. Okay, this is basically all about the instructions. This is the topic configuration, and what you saw here, that how the conference ID was being queried, how the sessions of that particular conferences have been queried. Where we are going to configure that, you can see it right here. These are the topic actions where we are telling it to improve the session titles and abstract, update the session title and the abstracts, query the records, find conference ID. All right, these are all the topic actions that I'm currently using, which are now tied up to the models API. This is something that you can see. This is where our pretty code exists. Okay, so what Elba showed you, let me open this thing here. This is our pretty models API, guys, everyone. And how Elba showed you in the connected API, where we were able to generate those life-saving newsletters. We saw that Elba basically used the connected APIs, but on the runtime for generating the newsletter, we actually have written all of our prompts into the prompt builder, right? Which means that an admin, if you're an admin and you don't know how to code, not a problem. You can just go ahead, go into setup, open the prompt builder, update the prompt, and you're good to roll. In our case, when you're working with the models API, um, you are going to write your prompt, whatever is that. The prompt that you're going to give is basically should be sitting right in your Epics class, right in the API that you are writing. You are not writing this prompt outside of the code. This is something which is coming completely under your control. And what makes it very controllable is that you are actually getting the session names, you are queuing the records, you are getting the records, you're updating the records, all on the runtime. In our case, when Elba generated the newsletter, the prompt template and the prompt that you wrote, it was asked to create a newsletter, right? But in our case, we are actually executing the actions on the runtime. And this is something which is making our prompt very dynamic and very versatile. And that's why we use Model API to get more control of the actions which have to be executed. So this little thing that you can see here is basically a class which is improved session description and action. This is the class that is being used in all the actions that I have showed you in the topic configuration. This is a method of generation which is creating a prompt. Now, when we talk about the prompt, we have written each of the detail within this Apex class that says generate a better title and abstract for the next session. The prompt is asking it to get the session ID from the session name. Now, here are the merge fields, just like we get it. And then we are queuing it through, and that's why we are using the prompt within the models API. Then we are getting the original abstract, which is the session abstract field. And then what this prompt is returning is basically a valid JSON that indicating the new suggested title and abstract. And in the examples, we are telling the prompt that please, generate a JSON that can come up with a session title like this, and then session abstract, which should be abstract of the session. Definitely, our models API is going to connect our application to the LLM, and then that LLM is responsible to generate the response for us. But this is the one portion of the mod of creating the prompts in the models API, is that it's not configurable. It's like within the code, you have to write your prompt within this piece of screen, which is definitely your code base, and then it acts on the actions that you have given it. It connects your actions to these particular classes, and then it execute it and give you the responses. LLM service is the same class which Alba has shown you. This class is actually responsible that using this class model API is actually able to call the LLMs like the models, and then those models actually give us a response back. Um, then what we are going to do is that this response is basically deserializing the JSON that is then being used as variables or parameters for us to be used as Apex actions that I just showed you. Apex action, you don't have to say it Apex action, but agent actions. All right. Let's take a look at this LLM service, which is basically responsible for generating the response, is this generate text method. These are the AI platform.models API create generations request. This request is being accompanied by the prompt in the body. As you guys have seen here, I have already shown you how the prompt is looking like. And then it's going to, the model name is basically the name of the model that you're going to give. It could be anything, like in the when you're in the prompt builder, there is a drop down of models which are being presented to you. In our case, we again put it in the code that what's going to be the model that your models API is going to connect your application to. And based off of this model, your models API is going to give you a response. Alrighty. Now, this response, if it's a success, code 200, we all devs love it, we know it. But then one thing that I would like to mention here, which is not part of this, but when I and Alp were presented at Dreamforce, Models API is extremely powerful because Model API is is very efficient when it's a matter of data masking or toxicity scoring. So by default, Model API actually runs a toxicity scoring on this response, which is being generated, right? And it doesn't only just identify the toxicity in the response, it actually gives the toxicity scoring on that response as well. That is being stored in data cloud for you further review, that whatever model that you use, it doesn't contain any toxicity or harm material. So that's basically sort of all about the use case that I have to show you guys. Models API is very versatile and dynamic when it will come to not only creating something runtime, but dynamically retrieving the objects, the queries, and then updating the records at the same time as well, which is pretty much of a dynamic thing to do at the same time. And that's basically it. I'll just go back to my screen now and I'll see if you have any questions.
Oh, no way. My camera went off again. I'm going to use this one, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so this was amazing, and this is why I love inviting customers to my code lives, because they really have like a different view and a different experience and perspective than us. And Maham, you did a great job explaining this use case. I think the key of this use case is showing how iteration works, right? Somebody was asking on the chat, like, how you properly instruct the agent to iterate. And Maham was showing, well, we did it for both demos, right? In the first demo, we gave 3 instructions, like one after the other. And in the second demo, it was a little bit more complicated because we had to iterate over the results, but it worked nicely. So you need to be very descriptive of the use case and the different steps that the agent needs to follow. And we recommend, like, we have found, like, testing this out, that it works much better if you, for one job to be done, you put all the instructions like one after the other, like this, right? If it's a complex use case. If it's a simple use case, you can add different instructions, like separate. That's the beauty of this example. And also Maham showed how to use the models API, which is interesting. One thing that I wanted to mention is that prompt templates have also something very good. So models API is if you want to do everything in code, but you don't have the benefit of prompt templates, right? Prompt templates have the grounding benefits, all the data providers that you can use to incorporate your data cloud data and your Salesforce data into the prompts. And it's like a lot of standard functionalities being developed against prompt templates. And if you want to follow the easy path, I would say use prompt templates, right? If you want to do something like very, very, very custom, then you can use the models API. It's not beta anymore. It was beta at Dreamforce, but I think it's GA as of today. Uh, and then there are some differences, right? Because In prompt templates, well, it's not only that you can ground data, but you can test, change, version the prompt templates very easily in Prompt Builder. With Models API, you are cooking it yourself, right? You need to do everything yourself. And then prompt templates are exposed through several out-of-the-box invocation entry points that we haven't covered today, but that we have covered in other codeLive, such as sales email templates that are invoked through the email composer, or field generation templates, which are invoked through record pages. And in addition, you can invoke them from the API or Apex. However, Models APIs is only API or Apex exposed. Saying that, I want to share some resources, and then we will go with questions, and we will see my demo that finally worked, okay? So because prompt templates are exposed through the Connect API, you have some examples of how to invoke them from an external system in the Salesforce platform API Postman collection. And this is the QR code that you can scan for that. The Models API is also in another Postman collection, okay, that you can take a look at. So you can invoke Models API not only from Apex, invoking the APIs from Apex, we provide it to you so it's easier, but you can also invoke them from external systems, which could be interesting at some point. Because remember, in both cases, we get the benefits of the instant trust layer. It doesn't matter if you are using prompt templates or the Models API, everything goes through the instant trust layer. And this helps me respond one of the questions that we had in the chat. Somebody asked if it was possible to have some don't remember exactly the question, fetch the responses provided by the agent in real time and export the conversation based on the session. Yes, you can do that if you activate Audit Trail, because with Audit Trail, you start logging all the requests and responses that go through the instant trust layer. It doesn't matter if you're using prompt templates or the Models API. And also, Agentforce requests are logged. Okay, Audit Trail uses Data Cloud, so you need to have Data Cloud, and you can also take a look at the feedback that's provided, implicit but also non-implicit feedback. And then the other resources that I wanted to share were, this is the QR code for the Postman Collection Models API. Make sure to scan it if you are interested in using the Postman Collection. And I also wanted to share two important things. Somebody asked if there is a sample app in which we have some prompts and agents implemented. And there is, okay? We have a sample app called Coral Cloud, and I'm going to pop up the QR code as well, where you can find nice examples that use Agentforce and Data Cloud. And some of the Trailhead modules that are available for Agentforce and for Data Cloud use the code in this sample app. So if you want, come here. You want to get deeper, come here and clone the app. And then some people were asking if we are going to share the code for today's demo. So I didn't have time to upload it to our repo, but we have a repo, Maham and myself, that we used for our Dreamforce talk. And right after the session, I will make sure to update the prompt templates that we are using, the agent instructions and topics and so on that we are using. Well, maybe I do it tomorrow because it's late for me, but I will do it. And the Apex classes that we created for this demo. Okay? Very important. Let me show the
Alba, I think we are losing you.
The prompt template was
Alrighty, no problem, guys. I think Alba should be back. Looks like they were having some connectivity issues, but yes, as Alba was mentioning, that I and Alba share basically our mutual directory, and it's a Git repo that I and Alba shared, and all of our Dreamforce sessions are being uploaded in there. And whatever we do today, we'll make sure that we'll just post all of that in the same Git repo as well, and then we'll shot it over your way. Let's give Alba 2 to 3 minutes, and we'll see if she is able to cut back and tell us what she's been talking about. Hi, Ankita. Looks like Models API helps me call prompt on LLM. Can we call pre-bid agents, which has list of topics and associated actions? Through Models API, no. At this point of time, we don't have this flexibility to, like, one agent cannot call the other action, or the other agent which has any pre-built action at this point of time. All these APIs that Alba showed and then that I showed are basically able to connect your application to the LLMs. So that's basically the whole set of sequence of steps that can happen. At this point of time, I don't think that we can call an agent can call another agent through Models API or connected APIs.
you won't believe, but I connected by phone because my internet connection went down.
It's okay. I and Elba have a strange mystery. Like when I have to present with Elba at Dreamforce, my throat was done. Bad throat even today, bad throat, and all the connectivity issues. People jealous of us. That's all.
I cannot believe it, honestly. I'm connected with the phone, so I don't know how much it will work. I was talking, I don't know if you got this, but I was talking about the Agentforce API. The Agentforce API is coming. Did you hear that? Okay, fantastic. So it's coming very soon. So stay tuned. And then somebody mentioned that like the use case that we were showing was not really an automation use case. It's true that here we are not doing like we are just showing a newsletter You see, it worked. It worked with the Apex action. The problem was that the prompt template, I saved a new version of the template during the stream and I didn't activate it, and that's why it failed, but it works. And yeah, so this example and the other example is basically we are fixing text, right? But you can do many more interesting things. So you have all the power of Flow and Apex here, so you can automate everything that you want. They when we improve this. And also as part of our Apex action, we created records, and that's something that you can do, and that's proper automation. Okay. And I have seen like many more, much more advanced use cases from customers. And I don't know if there are any more questions. Maybe do you have some questions, Maham, that you were not able to respond for any reason? Is there
No,
anything?
I just had one question where Ankita asked that Models API help me call prompt or LLM. Can we call pre-built Agentforce, which has lists of topics and associated actions, Alba? And I think for this, I don't think that Models API is able to do it yet.
I lost my connection again. I'm going to stop screen sharing. Can you ask the question again? Sorry.
Yes, Alba. So there's one question from Ankita that says that looks like Models API helps me call prompt or LLM. Can we call pre-built Agentforce, which has list of topics and associated actions?
No, you cannot call another agent as of yet, but you will be able to call agents through the Agentforce API very soon. Okay, so I think we're going to stop for today. I'm so sorry for the technical issues. Maham, you were amazing. Thank you so much for being here with me today. If you have more questions, you can put them in the YouTube or the LinkedIn chat, and I will be taking a look. And remember that tomorrow I will upload the code for today's demo to that repo that I showed. Okay, Maham, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Alba. Thank you,
It was
everyone. Thank you so much. It was great fun meeting all of you, demoing this, and accompanying Alba one more time.
bye.
Bye.